OpenAI is pretty widely considered to be the leader in AI right now. ChatGPT has basically become synonymous with AI the way Google became a verb for search. There are millions of people using their products every day, millions of businesses. The problem, though, for investors anyway, is they're a private company. And yes, OpenAI is actively fundraising. So if you're an accredited investor and you have a network of venture buddies, and in reality you're on a group text with Sam Altman, you probably can find some shares or an SPV to get a piece of the action. But what about everyone else? Today on Dumb Money, the backdoor way we found to invest in AI that's available to everyone.
This is Dumb Money Live.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. Welcome to Dumb Money Live. Quick reminder to smash the like button. The almighty algorithm wants to hear from you this morning. And guys, before we get started and reveal the investment, I actually have a quote from the CEO that's behind our backdoor investment into OpenAI. He said, and I quote, "If OpenAI disappeared tomorrow, we have all the IP rights, we have all the capability, we have the people, we have the compute, we have the data, we have everything. We're above them, we're below them, we're around them." And you might have guessed by now, that quote is from Satya Nadella, the chairman and CEO of none other than Microsoft, which is the company that we're betting is a backdoor into OpenAI. So, Chris, Jordan, it actually, to me, seems a little obvious. They made more than a $10 billion investment into OpenAI. It all runs on the Azure cloud for Microsoft. It's built into the Office and other Microsoft products. But Microsoft does not own an equity stake in OpenAI, and they don't own any of the IP. That's all a licensing deal. So, Chris, let's start with how an investment in Microsoft is the backdoor way to invest in OpenAI.
Yeah, so Dave, we've been closely monitoring OpenAI and ChatGPT's data over the course of the last year. We've had a couple episodes on this. It's the fastest growing company in the history of man. It's astonishing what's happening at OpenAI and ChatGPT. They've essentially been number one on the App Store now for, daily for 6 months. And the next large language model kind of hovers between number 25 and number 100 on the App Store. So it's not even a close horse race. It's really mind-boggling. OpenAI has come out recently and talked about the fact that their revenue run rate is now north of 10 billion annually. There's rumors that they could be approaching a $20 billion annual revenue run rate by the end of this year. As a benchmark, Anthropic, that's been getting a tremendous amount of hype, which is kind of the leader in AI coding, is up to, I think, like a $4 billion annual run rate. So, and then behind them, it's essentially nobody. I think the AI division of XAI, Elon's company, most recently reported an AI run rate at about 100 million a year. So you're talking about 1%. XAI is generating like 1%, less than 1% of the revenue, and they're not even remotely growing anywhere near as fast. It's like two different universes of companies, and they're trying to value themselves at close to 200 billion. So I have been trying to invest in OpenAI all year. You guys know that. We actually raised a small fund, $5 million fund, and got into OpenAI earlier this year. Since then, we've been negotiating a multitude of deals to make a larger investment in OpenAI. My group currently has about $250 million that we've been trying to invest into OpenAI unsuccessfully. So we wanted to be direct on balance sheet, and we have not been successful. It has been torturous. We thought we were going to get in. Then we didn't get in. We thought we had time when he reopened this round. We were a little bit slow. And what happened a week before this last weekend is that Iconic, which is the firm that manages Mark Zuckerberg's money, now that's really important to note, Iconic came out of nowhere and bid up the Anthropic round 10 days ago to 170 billion. It was at 100 billion, and they bid it up to 170 billion with a $1 billion commitment that I think is now even higher. I'm almost positive that money came from Zuckerberg. So the same way that he is giving billion-dollar pay packages to AI scientists trying to play catch up out of fear.
Buying every possible AI employee he can.
He's also wants a stake in Anthropic because he knows Amazon has a big stake in Anthropic, Google has a big stake in Anthropic, and he felt left out. So I think he's doing that with his personal money being run through Iconic. That's my thesis.
But you think, but there are a lot of those Silicon Valley guys use Iconic.
Well,
you don't
you're
think this
right.
is just like generally what they're trying to do for everybody in their funds?
You're right, but I have a thesis that the unconventional markup that was so astonishingly aggressive syncs up with only one person and one person's actions the last 4 weeks, and that's Mark Zuckerberg. He's
been going insane.
This, right? He's been doing this exact thing with employees.
But on the other hand, but the weird part about this is that he's like robbing employees from everywhere and trying to do stuff internally.
Yes, that's a whole.
So he's trying to blanket. He's playing both sides, is what you're saying.
He's playing both sides. Now what happened was the second that Anthropic got marked up from 100 to 170 billion, and now, by the way, that's oversubscribed, instantaneously institutional investors said, wait a second, Anthropic's at 4 billion run rate, OpenAI is somewhere between 10 and 15 billion run rate, so about 3x that, 3 to 4x that. Why wouldn't we invest in OpenAI at a 260 pre or 300 post? It's a steal. Plus, it's growing faster. It appears to be growing faster. So immediately, OpenAI took like $8.7 billion. Now, that's an odd number. So why would they only take $8.7 billion at the 260 pre 300 post, which was the round that SoftBank was leading? I think it's because he just saw so much demand. There was about a 5x oversubscription of this OpenAI round that Sam Altman said, wait a second, stop. This is ridiculous. Stop. We're going to halt. I'm going to reopen this thing in a little bit at a much larger valuation. I knew that was about to happen. And sure enough, last night, news came out that he is intending on reopening the round now at a $500 billion valuation, okay, which I believe, based on my sources, is also going to be oversubscribed, that we are still trying to get into. Okay, so here's the catch, though.
Time out. What valuation is too high for you to? When are you going to just give up and say, no, I don't even want these shares? Is it a $500 billion? Is it $750 billion? Is it $1 trillion? Are you going to always be into the market for these shares?
I'm interested at $500 billion. I haven't really thought much about it beyond that, but I see OpenAI, if things continue to go, unless something meaningfully changes, it appears evident that OpenAI will be set up really nicely for an IPO at between 1 and 2 trillion in the not too distant future. So, now, how do you invest in OpenAI if you're just a retail investor? And this is not just about how to invest in OpenAI. It's about a specific event that I think is going to happen in the very near future. So if you look at the deal that Microsoft has struck with OpenAI, they essentially receive, I think, 1 out of every $2 of revenue top line until they get paid back 10x their investment. I think their investment sits at somewhere between 12 and 13 billion. So about, let's just call it 120 billion of revenue share. Now, this is critical because Sam Altman needs every single penny of revenue to reinvest back into the company, both in terms of compute, employees, data centers. He has huge plans. He's building out a humanoid division. Like, this guy he's doing 100 things. He needs money more than anybody in the world. You've heard him talk about the fact that he needs to raise potentially trillions of dollars eventually to accomplish what he wants to do. Now, love or hate Sam Altman, that's a different conversation. But he needs that money. He cannot afford to pay Microsoft 50 cents on the dollar of the first quarter of $1 trillion of revenue he gets. That would be harmful to the growth of his business, and he needs to resolve that. So they've been in a negotiation the last few months. Microsoft, as you said, Dave, per the quote that you read, is playing hardball. They have him by the neck. Okay. So here's what's really interesting now. Ready for this? We've all heard about the SoftBank investment, the $40 billion SoftBank investment. Now, SoftBank has already invested roughly 10 billion of that. 20 of the 40 billion is contingent upon the conversion to the for-profit, which we all know is now going to be under a nonprofit. But there's an element to that where the Microsoft situation needs to be resolved. So if the Microsoft situation doesn't get resolved, from what I understand, Masa at SoftBank is not required to close on that 20 billion that Sam wants, and it has to happen by the end of this year. I think part of the reason why Masa doesn't want to close is because he knows that Microsoft could end up getting between a third and 50% of OpenAI in this negotiation, and he does not want to close on his funding and then get immediately diluted by Microsoft, who only invested like 25% of what he invested, and he's the last investor in. He shouldn't get diluted by an entity that invested years ago, okay, which does make sense. So there is a natural incentive for this situation to get resolved by the end of the year. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot to gain by Microsoft and OpenAI somehow coming to a resolution that neither of them are going to love, but coming to a resolution so that Sam could get his money, put Microsoft behind him, and actually move forward as a company. Now, there's other things happening in this negotiation as it relates to IP rights that Microsoft has to basically use all of OpenAI's technology for free. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Microsoft has such a strong position, contractual position here, that I don't see how Sam Altman gets out of this deal without giving Microsoft at least 1/3 of OpenAI. Okay, now it could be as high as 50%, but I think he's going to have to give up at least 1/3 of OpenAI. Now, we know that OpenAI is about to raise around at a $500 billion valuation. So let's just assume that that's where it sits. And let's just assume roughly that this does get resolved by year end, as it kind of needs to get resolved, and that Microsoft gets its 1/3 of OpenAI. That would be essentially a grant of equity to Microsoft that is valued at call it $165 billion. Okay, so that would be considered a markup, a gift to Microsoft of 165 billion. Now, as a benchmark reference point, you might remember 2 quarters ago when Google took, I think it was around an $8 billion markup on their SpaceX shares. That 8 billion markup completely saved Google's quarter. It was like, without it, it would have been destruction. It saved their quarter. I have never personally seen or even heard of a company taking $165 billion markup in a single quarter. So the thesis here is that at some point between now and the end of this year, it is highly likely that information will start to leak about the resolution of this conversion deal between OpenAI and Microsoft, and what that means for Microsoft. The 160 billion-ish markup, maybe the fact that they're going to own 1/3 of what is likely potentially has a company that has potential to be the largest company in the world before long, that's going to have potentially a multi-trillion-dollar IPO that Microsoft would potentially own 1/3 of. Okay, this is interesting not just because it's a huge needle mover for Microsoft, but because the time window for it to happen is very short. So I can't imagine a scenario where this happens and doesn't have some meaningful short-term impact on Microsoft stock when the information leaks or when it becomes solidified. So this is like a big potential move that's about to happen in Microsoft when the whole world realizes that everyone wants to be in OpenAI and Microsoft owns a big chunk of OpenAI. That's the thesis. It's freaking nuts, guys.
So,
And so you have
question
to time it,
question
though.
from the chat: Do you think that this information isn't already priced in? Everybody knows that Microsoft has invested heavily in OpenAI years back. What you're saying is nobody's actually pulling forward this potential ownership in a trillion-dollar company.
No, because I mean, I have been so deep into this deal, very deep in the deal. It's been something that has been on my mind. I've been working on for 5, 6 months now. And so I'm like staring at it every day, and I'm well adverse to the situation because it impacts our investment that we did make and the one that we're planning on making, because we're asking questions about how, the note that we're investing in, because a lot, this round is like going into a note that's going to convert at the same time. And so the question is, if Microsoft converts, will that conversion happen before this note converts, or will we get potentially diluted with that conversion? So it's something that institutional investors are aware of and they're thinking about, but nothing's set in stone. There is no deal between the companies. So it's all hypothetical at this point. I just happen to be putting two and two together, and I cannot comprehend a scenario where a deal doesn't get done because the incentives are too strong and the penalties are too strong. Like I said, if you look and read between the lines of what Sam Altman cares about more than anything else, he is in a horse race and he needs capital. And he just simply can't afford. He's actually generating good revenue, and that revenue is going to meaningfully accelerate over the next few years. So as his revenue run rate grows from 10 billion to 20 billion, potentially at the end of this year, annualized, to 40 billion to 50 billion, he can't be giving half of 50 billion, 25 billion to Microsoft. And that would last for years. That will stunt his ability to grow. And it's critically important, not just that piece, but the technology IP that he has with Microsoft. He has to figure this out. It must get figured out. And so I don't think people have the time and attention to really focus on what's happening here.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think people make the connection between Microsoft and OpenAI, but I don't think they've fully made the connection between this equity piece. But how are you playing this? Are you buying Microsoft stock? Are you buying options? The time frame is unknown. Would you be doing weekly options, waiting for some information change, or are you buying end of year options, thinking it's going to happen sometime between then? What are you looking at?
So there's an unknown variable here, which is when will the information dissemination event play out? Whether that is a statement from Microsoft or OpenAI, whether it's an informal leak that hits the press. So I did not know if this topic was going to come up on Microsoft earnings, about a week-ish ago. So I went all in on Microsoft earnings just in case.
Before earnings, right?
And it played out. It played out big.
It's like huge, an unintentional win for you there.
Unintentional win. After that, I decided, hey, I just kind of need to have somewhat of a levered position in Microsoft just in case. And so my thought pattern is I would be invested in Microsoft. So I have an equity position in Microsoft. And then I have a variable leverage position in Microsoft that I'll take up and down over the course of the rest of this year, dependent on the likelihood of what I think we might hear, if there's information dissemination events, if there's leaks, Now, I took that levered position off yesterday the second I saw that news that Amazon was getting the OpenAI model data in its cloud, which is something that they've been working on for almost 2 years, because right now Microsoft has kind of been, the only entity that has had that data, and I think maybe Google has it too now. So I knew that would be a negative story short term for Microsoft. So I took off the Microsoft trade. I actually took all that money and threw it into Amazon calls yesterday, which are working out beautifully today. And so I do plan on putting my levered Microsoft position back on shortly. I just kind of wanted this whole Amazon Microsoft model thing to work its way out. I don't know when I will do that, but listen, I do not know how to time this exactly. So I don't have all the answers here. And what I wanted to do is, I've been so excited just to fully share this thesis with our community, so that our community has it on their minds. Now everybody else can do their own homework. They can do their own research. They can come up with their own timetables. You can set your alerts for words that you're looking at, people that you're following on Twitter. Like, that this is a possibility now. So this is what social arb is about. It's about scenario analysis and having a prepared mind. We talk about this all the time. So you have to be prepared to put on this trade, and you have to be watching this story unfold, so that the second it starts to materialize, and by the way, we're not saying to make this trade. This is how we're thinking about it. This is how I'm thinking about it. I want to know exactly how much I want to put on this trade, exactly how I'm going to do it, what I'm looking for. And the second any of these things starts to materialize, I want to be early. Okay. I want to be early because I see it playing out. I see it clearly, and I don't want to miss it, because I love these situations where the hottest company in the world is uninvestable. So everybody's trying to figure out, like, okay, I can't invest in it. How else do we play it? Well, Microsoft is really like ground zero. Like, Microsoft basically is OpenAI right now. Like, they have so much control over that company. This could be a movie. And you just have to be aware of it as an investor, because this is not a one-off company. This is potentially the most interesting, largest company that we'll ever see, essentially pre-IPO, that Microsoft could own a third of, maybe more.
Can't ignore. How did you get to the third, that metric?
So there were rumors that Microsoft would take no less than 51% of the company, which obviously Sam doesn't want to give them. And that's when that quote came out that you read. Yep. He was like, well, go out. We don't care. Like, go out of business if you want, like, or just give us the 120 billion that you owe us. We'll take half of all your money for the next 5 years. And we own all of your IP. And by the way, Copilot, I don't even know if they pay anything. They just get all the IP, all the models. They get to work all of it into their own products. So
it seems like in exchange for giving up Azure time, they're getting a huge deal on IP, right?
I don't even know how much Azure they're giving up, because I think they have to pay for that now. So, and by the way, they don't have enough.
Yeah, are they paying retail, rack rates for Azure? I guarantee you they're not.
Well, I mean, you would think they would be paying at least for the compute for it. I mean,
they are paying.
Yeah.
And here's how you know, Dave, they couldn't even, OpenAI is demanding so much compute that they had to move to Google, right? They had to move to Oracle because Microsoft could not even serve enough compute to maintain their models and the amount of demand, the consumer demand that's running those models. So, dude, this is a really interesting situation, and I just think investors need to be aware of it, and then they need to do their own research, and then they need to kind of figure out how they want to play it, if they want to play it. But I wanted to clearly surface it for our community because not enough people are talking about this, and it's big. It's really big.
Yep. Totally agree.
By the way,
I'm
I
just
get
have a question. Hey,
other trades here.
Are all of OpenAI's company formation issues behind them?
So they are, yeah, they have board approval to restructure the company as what's like that for-profit for good structure. I forget what it's called. It's what all the other AI companies are structured as. It's a for-profit company, but it's like it's for good. So there's some additional restrictions, but that is all sitting underneath the nonprofit parent company still. So basically, OpenAI will technically has to stick with the mission of the nonprofit, and the nonprofit can still theoretically cause issues for the for-profit if they wanted to.
But are there lawsuits around this? Because I know that like Elon was vocal about not being happy about this. So I wonder if he's going to try to fight it.
I don't think Elon will ever drop his lawsuit. That will be going on forever, but it doesn't seem to be like any type of material concern for anyone that I'm talking to.
Yep.
It's out there. I think it will be fine now that he's done the for-profit thing and it's still underneath the nonprofit. That's how they kind of got around it. I think they have the right to do that. Elon will still sue. That's not going anywhere.
Someone just commented public benefit corporation.
Yeah, correct.
So, thank you for that.
That's not as big of an issue, Jordan. The issue is they have to resolve the Microsoft situation, the IP, all that stuff. It all is like synced with this conversion that they're doing, the for benefit conversion. So it's all supposed to happen by the end of this year, which is what I love because now we have at least a timeline. And I don't think they're going to push it until the end of this year. I think they're going to do everything they can to try to resolve it sooner. There's just too much at stake for all of these companies, right? Microsoft wants to be able to negotiate certain things. Maybe Microsoft gets like another 2 years of IP for free, right? Who knows? But they have to figure it out. And Microsoft's going to end up with equity, guys. There's no way that Microsoft doesn't end up. I don't see how Microsoft would end up with any less than 20% or any more than 50%.
Yeah, so look, I mean, they've got to do two things. One, they've got to have their stake and their hands in the game, but they also have to make sure that the company is operating and that there's somebody in charge that's actually growing this thing like it should be grown. So they've got to balance those two.
And listen, Jordan, I think Sam just proved to the world that he's capable of raising real meaningful money now. I think he sees himself as being able to raise tens of billions very quickly here over the next 3 or 4 months outside of the Masa money.
Yeah.
So you add the Masa money, that's another 20 billion. Let's say Sam raises 20 or 30. So he's going to have like 50 billion of cash. And he needs it. He wants it. He needs it. He'll get it. His revenue growth is too strong. His positioning is too strong. He owns the whole market. He's got like an 80% global share of AI right now, which is insane. It's just like, and it's not going anywhere. People kept waiting for it to fall apart. He's just still sitting there, number one on top of the app chart, and no one's anywhere remotely close to him. Like he's just... Every single day that this continues to be the case, OpenAI is distinguishing itself as the clear leader in this space. Now, of course, we all know that Gemini and Google, by the way, the Gemini app has fallen off. Google is likely just to convert the whole darn company to AI and have all of Google search just be AI. It kind of is right now.
Why do I need a Google app and a Gemini app?
It's a little confused right now because you get basically for free Gemini for queries, right? It seems like about a third of the Google searches I do have Gemini.
When it doesn't have that, I'm really upset. I'm like, why did I go to Google? I should have just asked OpenAI.
It's so interesting to me because they clearly don't see the way that, you know, the younger half of the world operates. We do not like, we want it in a freaking app. Like ChatGPT has trained, like you're on that app all day long. Or if you're using XAI, like you're doing it through X or whatever, fine. Like you're doing that. But like people do not want to like go to google.com. You know what I'm saying?
No, Google, I mean, look, the one thing that Gemini has the same interface, right? They've got a standalone interface that you can subscribe to, and you know.
Yeah, but
they've got a competitive product.
Yeah.
But no one's using it. No one's using it.
Yes, they are. There are a lot of people using it.
Yeah,
no, there's really not.
The normies don't use it, Chris. The normies use OpenAI. We've talked about this. The real people use Anthropic, and they use Gemini.
Okay. But a person's a person.
When I mean to talk to AI, I go to my ChatGPT app. When I mean to go to Google, I just open Safari and type a question into the search bar and hope that Google will give me the AI version at the top of the page.
Yeah. But by the way, Jordan, you know I'm on your side when it comes to like Gemini and Google. Like I actually personally, like following the models, following like the deep tech that's happening behind the scenes, I'm most excited about Google and DeepMind and what they're building.
Yeah.
But just if I take that hat off and I look at the 99% of humans that don't think like you and me, that aren't like keeping up with who has the bleeding edge model.
Yeah, it's called normies, Chris. I qualified it with the, you know.
Yeah. But that's where the money is, Jordan. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
Right? The consumer.
Look, yeah, normies spend. That's right.
Inquiring minds want to know, though, what are you doing with this, Jordan? Are you getting into Microsoft for the OpenAI trade, or are you just in Microsoft for other reasons, or are you not in Microsoft?
I just have some Microsoft, but not as much as Google. I've got more Google. So.
Yeah.
Of course, Jordan just has Microsoft. That was such a company that Jordan would have just owned the last 10, 15 years for no reason and got lucky.
Windows 3.1.
How can you not own stuff like Microsoft?
No,
what's wrong with
I'm
like just owning Microsoft and Google and some of these companies? I mean, Nvidia,
you have to have some Microsoft in your
just own
portfolio. It wouldn't make sense.
I hate Microsoft so much. Like the thought, even seeing it show up in my portfolio.
It's fine. Sick. Look, I mean, what you got to realize if you, it's just a ticker, you know.
I know.
Yeah. I have it, and I despise Microsoft products more than anything. Like I will not put Microsoft Word on my Mac. I just won't do it. I use Pages.
You haven't bought a Surface yet, Dave?
I'm just not going to do it.
Dave, when I was having email issues with one of our domains, I went through GoDaddy. Did GoDaddy like get bought by Microsoft or something? Because
no, they just became a big company that acts like Microsoft.
Well, the only way for me to like facilitate quickly email through my GoDaddy domain was to go through Microsoft, and I had to pay money and it didn't work. Just having to deal with that, and I had to like reopen my Microsoft account and log in. I was like,
oh my God,
no, I can't.
I have a Microsoft account from like 1993. It's a Hotmail account that I still have to occasionally go to, and I still have to maintain a login so that I can recover old passwords for things.
Yeah, I've got one for some people send, instead of Zooms, they send Teams, and so I'm stuck logging into Teams every once in a while.
I can't think of anything I'd want to be on less than a Microsoft team meeting.
Is there anything that you could think of that touches Microsoft, like Steve Ballmer, just like people, products that isn't just absolutely horrific in every way? It's just, I hate it. I can't believe this company is as big as they are in 2025, and I can't believe they lucked into the AI trade through this crazy deal that they
made a strategic investment that is I think the smartest thing that they've ever done. Okay, can we talk a little more about the Amazon OpenAI? I saw a comment earlier. They want to know Amazon AI models are open source. Any cloud provider can host them. That doesn't seem like a meaningful partnership. So when you saw the Amazon partnership news, you immediately jumped on Amazon calls.
It's huge because basically, and Jordan can speak to this. So essentially, you are limited in the ways in which you can utilize the OpenAI models if you were like a Bedrock Amazon customer. Now, Jordan, you understand like the nuances of it, but this just completely opens it up to where now the OpenAI models are fully available across all of Amazon's cloud services, and there's no restrictions. It's something that I know Amazon has been aggressively trying to make happen the last couple of years. They spoke about it on their last earnings call openly. They were like, we would love to have OpenAI on. And I think part of the reason why they ultimately folded, because I believe they needed to have Microsoft's approval to do this. Microsoft has been approving OpenAI to do things with other partners because they didn't want an antitrust.
Look, you can just think about it as Amazon gets to collect some of the rent of the CPU time or the GPU time for these queries instead of farming them off via the API, right? So,
yeah, but Jordan, what it really means is it presented an issue where you had a client that was OpenAI centric, that was previously incentivized to go to Microsoft as opposed to Amazon. Now they don't have that incentive where, okay, we're building around OpenAI. It's easier to be on Microsoft because they're integrated. Now they can choose. They can be on Amazon. Amazon does not have that deficiency anymore. If you're working at AWS, if you're working at Amazon, this is
like if you'd already had all of your, everything that you do hosted on AWS, this makes it way easier to deal with.
Yeah, and this is why Amazon has been moving
and less of an incentive to move cloud providers, which is a nightmare. But
well, of course. By the way, I did want to notate there are some other meaningful trades here I wanted to discuss. Some we've discussed in the past. As you know, during our last episode, I doubled down on Lululemon and lost $200,000. So I just,
you win some, you lose some, and it's good to actually talk about the losses because when you say I bought
oh my gosh,
Amazon options right before they jumped up, and then I bought some Microsoft options right before they jumped up. It's good to hear that you lost some money too.
But do you know what I did? I then took another $200,000 and bought more Lululemon calls. So I'm back. Baby. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. And it's not
my Abercrombie calls are doing way better than my Lululemon calls.
Well, Jordan, just to be very clear for everyone watching now, like I'm not high conviction on this trade. This is not a high conviction trade. I just, if you look, Lulu's trading at like 13 PE. The stock is down like 65%. And I am seeing a lot of tailwinds in the product mix. I went to Lulu stores this weekend. I interviewed store clerks. I've been studying all the data. The data does not look insanely great.
Yeah, that's an ugly chart, Dave. And Chris, it's not just the Align no line pant, right? You said that there's other things.
There's the jacket. The jacket's really hot. The bags are hot. In fact, there's a tote bag in a like light color that just came out yesterday. I know way too much about Lululemon right now. And it's not even on the site yet, and it's going viral on TikTok, and people are freaking out. This is going to be the tote bag of the fall. I'm telling you guys, it's just a new colorway, but people love it. That's what I was doing this morning. I was watching Lulu videos. Here's the thing.
I bet you were.
Here's the thing. Honestly, like there are tailwinds in the product mix that I like. If you were to go on Google Trends and simply type in Lululemon 5-year chart, US or global, you will see the biggest pop you've ever seen in summertime. We never see a pop in search traffic for Lululemon during the summer. It never happens. It's astonishing. The problem is that search traffic that we're seeing in the last 30 days hasn't started to show up yet in my register data. I'll take that back. I am seeing a small blip in credit card transaction data lift in like the last 10 days, and I'm carefully monitoring it to see if that continues. The checkout page of lululemon.com has shown no lift yet. So I'm not getting too excited, but at the levels where Lulu's at, with what I'm seeing in the product mix, I am making an assumption, right or wrong, that the next few weeks are going to be nothing but positive momentum for sales. And I think it will eventually start to show up in the data. And if it does, I'll get in this trade even bigger. For now, I'm going to call it a low to medium conviction, a speculative trade going into Lulu earnings that could turn into a higher conviction if the data starts to show itself over the next few weeks. That's Lulu.
And I'm staying as far away from Lulu as possible.
You don't like to lose money on calls, Dave? Because I'm doing it.
No, I don't like it when my calls go to zero. My zero DTE is at zero.
Dave, you can't let that impact your thesis. If the thesis is still there, in fact, it's gotten a little better. So, and the fact that the stock's down now means there's more money to be made on the upside if we're right. So I had to double down again, and I did. Now, listen, I lost a lot of money. It is what it is. So, like, we'll see if I lose this.
Win some, you lose some. You know, you just got to think in bets.
Oh, by the way, there's an interesting earnings trade happening this week I want to talk about for a quick minute. And it is a company that has made me so much money over the past few years, where I got out at pretty much the perfect time. I was buying data, Nielsen data, weekly on this company. I no longer have that data, so I'm kind of flying blind here. But Celsius, they bought Alani, okay? Alani is hot right now. I'm trying to put the pieces together. They had this witchcraft flavor that came out that has gone super viral. I'm telling you, they have Pepsi distribution. I went to Walmart this week with my daughter because her and one of her friends were looking for a certain apple flavor of I think one was Alani and one was Bloom or some other energy drink, and they only sold them at Walmart. So I went to Walmart on Saturday night with my daughter and her friend, and I was stunned at the Alani shelf space. I was also stunned at how good of a job Alani was doing with their packaging, their branding. I started watching Alani videos. I pulled Alani data. Man, they're having a moment right now. And, they're newly acquired by Celsius. Celsius is up from the lows meaningfully. They have earnings coming out on Friday. I didn't do my full homework, but I'm back in it for a few days.
How does the high noon can mix up play into your thesis?
That too.
That's big, right? I mean, it's
Jordan, explain what happened.
Good pub type thing, right?
Jordan, explain with the high noon thing.
So, from what I understand, High Noon shipped out cases of their vodka seltzers that were the cans were the Celsius labels, right? So you'd open a box of High Noons. They're a similar shaped can. They're the tall, skinny can, and you would pull out a can and it would say Celsius energy drink on it, but it was inside was a High Noon.
And was this in a High Noon box, or was this?
I think it was in a High Noon box. I'm not 100% sure.
No, Celsius.
That sounds like a real problem.
Was a Celsius box too? Oh my gosh.
That's what I heard.
Oh, that's
what I heard.
Very unfortunate.
Well, that's because nobody makes their own product. It's all bottled and canned elsewhere.
Okay. By the way, I'll catch people up on a couple other trades. My Labubu Pop Mart Hong Kong trade is up roughly 9% right now, so it's doing okay. We'll see how that goes into the holiday season. I'm still holding. There is the hold on, what was the other one I wanted to? Oh, American Eagle, the controversial trade of all time. Okay, I visited 2 American Eagle stores this weekend in Dallas. I also visited 2 Abercrombie stores, a Hollister store, and here's what my research showed this weekend. Absolutely nothing conclusive. I've been digging into the data. Absolutely nothing conclusive. There is not enough data to show that sales at American Eagle have been positively impacted or negatively impacted by the Sydney Sweeney controversy. Now, people will highlight the fact that her entire line was sold out, but her entire line was not only limited, designed to sell out. It was always going to sell out, but it was also for charity, right? So they actually, I hate saying stuff like this, but I don't think they wanted to have more than a certain amount of that inventory, because the entire thing, I think all of it just went to this, charitable thing. So they want people coming in the store, but then buying the normal stuff, the normal jeans. Honestly, I want the American Eagle store I visited. Now we're in Dallas, which is, I would assume, one of the more conservative places in the country, right? I mean, North Park for sure, super conservative, right, Jordan, Dave? Has to be one of the more conservative malls in the
Yeah, you're
country.
right outside of University Park and Preston Hollow and Highland Park.
The
Right by the
Galleria,
university. Yeah.
maybe a little less so, but still, it's Dallas, it's Texas, right? It's still conservative. I saw a good blend of people in American Eagle, a good demographic mix of people in both stores.
You're saying it wasn't just white folk in there.
It wasn't just white people. I spoke to the clerks, and I said, how has this been impacting foot traffic? Is it helped it? Has it hurt it? They're like, it's just normal. So,
But
by the way,
does that just say that the normal
the
consumer
president
doesn't
of the
care?
United States getting on his social media platform and praising the ad and calling Taylor Swift ugly? Like, it's insane that he's tweeting such things on Truth. He's truthing such things.
The only thing that bothers me about investors, how they're all speaking about this story, and it just frustrates me to no end. I'm super neutral, pragmatic. I just want to make money. I don't care. I'll go long. I'll go short. Show me what's happening, and I'll put my trade on either way. Now, I do have a thesis that's a short thesis here, not a long one, but investors are calling it a win because the stock is this is all speculation that will fade over time. Ultimately, the only thing that matters are sales, and we are not going to know whether sales are up or down for weeks to maybe a month or two. And also, sales, if they stay the same, that is not a good thing, because American Eagle was spiraling. They needed to lift sales. So
that's why I stayed away from it, because even with the Trump bump, it's not a company that I think has a sustainable product line or desirability in the market. There may be some short-term upside, but
they also
long-term,
have
I don't know.
There's a lot of headwinds coming with tariffs.
Yes, but hold on, Dave. You called it a Trump bump, but the Trump bump was a financial bump to the stock.
Yeah.
We don't know if what Trump said actually positively, negatively, or neutrally impacted what matters, which is sales.
Yeah.
Okay?
We know that it pushed the stock up temporarily for the day.
But that doesn't matter. What matters are sales, right? Ultimately on this trade or sell. So now, don't get me wrong. If you knew that Trump, if you were early on that Trump tweet, that post, you would be buying the stock and making a ton of money flipping it, right? Congrats if you got on that. I did not get on that quickly.
Congrats if you're on the Truth social media team for the administration, because I'm sure you got in early.
So the data, I've been following it daily. Again, the data is not showing me anything yet. Like it's just kind of like exactly what you think it would have been if none of this happened. So I'm looking for the data to show something and going into back to school. The real measure is going to play out in the next like 2 weeks. Okay. And we'll let you know.
Speaking of something that's playing out quicker than 2 weeks, a show we did not long ago about your Yeti
Camino
handbag,
bag.
fashion accessory of the summer. Their earnings
Um,
apparently tomorrow. Are you still watching them? Or are you
are
still
they
in them?
tomorrow? I didn't even
Yes,
know.
because
I
I still have my options.
I
And
still have
haven't,
my position on. It's up. What am I up in my options? I'm up. Ooh, not that much. It's down today. I'm
No,
still up in my
it's come
options, but
down.
not a ton.
Yeah, I'm like basically even.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
I think
only
I'm
up.
gonna
I'm still
probably
up
hold.
18%, but at one point I was up like 150%. So that's not
Yeah.
looking good.
It's come back
Yeah,
down.
I don't know. I want to remind everyone that this was not a high conviction trade. The reason why it was one product
Yeah.
that
It's
would
just
drive.
the Camino tote bag that's very hot. That is very hot. So that is, I think we've confirmed that from a few different sources.
But Jordan, like the tote bag is just lifting the brand exposure, hopefully driving
Right.
some more foot
Does it
traffic.
translate to sales across the board? Who knows?
I'm
We
just
don't
hoping
know. I
they
mean,
mention
this
and
is
Yeah.
a
I hope they
speculative
mention an
trade.
increase in foot traffic or sales or the tote bag. I'm sure they're going to mention one of the three on the earnings call, and that's why I picked options that expire after that earnings call.
I also I picked up some on running calls just because the data looks reasonably good, especially compared to Hoka, and Hoka crushed it. So like I have some of those too, just for fun. Uh, Mainly my biggest call position, my biggest lever positions right now are Lulu, Amazon. I still have some Nvidia calls. At least this week I will. I don't know what I'll do next week. So yeah, I mean there's a bunch of small-ish trades, but I think this Microsoft story and the larger AI story is still where investors should be focusing their attention because again, I don't know how many times we can say it. We've been saying it for 2 years. This AI cycle, super cycle, we might not see something like this again for the rest of our life. So if you're an investor, you need to be digging in to this super cycle and figuring out how you want to play it. We've been really fortunate. We put our money where our mouth is the last year and a half and went all in, took some really big risk on some big AI plays. They worked out. Where's the next one? We always want to know where is the next big AI play. I think the next big AI play is OpenAI, and I think Microsoft just might be drafting on them right now and could end up being the public market beneficiary. I mean, imagine if OpenAI goes public at like 2 trillion and Microsoft gets like a $700 billion markup on that.
Mhm.
Can you imagine, dude? That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's possible though. It's definitely possible. Well, my MacBook's about to die. It's out of battery. Any comments we want to hit before this
I think
dies?
that when your computer's dying, that's the sign that we've been on long enough. I'm just looking to see if there's anything here. Hit the like button before you go. If we're winding down, we definitely need you to hit that like button. Any thoughts on Tesla?
My thoughts on Tesla right now are so many unknowns. I'm not super comfortable. I have a very small position in Tesla right now. The Optimus program, I retweeted a roboticist friend's tweet thread a few days ago on Optimus, and not on Optimus, on ranking the robots. And I kind of agree with him. He thinks that Optimus is set back about a year, about 12 months, with all the issues they're having at the Optimus program. This is something that we have been internally discussing for months now, me and my roboticist friends. So like we I didn't think that they were set back a full year, but he thinks they're set back a full year. Now, Elon has taken over the program himself. The person that he announced took over the program a month ago is already not on the program. That's his AI guy. So I don't know what they're going to do. This is hard work, guys. Building scalable robots is hard work, and everybody thought that Elon was going to be able to do it so much better than everyone else. Well, maybe he could have if he was actually there working on it, but he wasn't the last year. So, you know, I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. Now, I happen to have some pretty good insight to what's happening at all these robot companies, so I would rather wait. And then when I see or hear about a turnaround, that they're making progress, maybe I'll get back in Tesla at that point. Even on robotaxi, they're expanding robotaxi aggressively, but are there any hints right now that about like a timeline for driverless? Because as long as they have drivers in there, it's nothing more than an Uber that has FSD.
I mean, they're showing that they can expand to multiple markets and expand their footprint within the market, and they can do that quickly. And they're hiring more front seat, kill button pushers. But I've not heard anything on a timeline with removing those drivers. Although we have seen, some cars driving without them in it.
It's regulatory, right? And so regulatory always makes me really nervous because, wow, those regulatory limitations and delays can last a lot longer than anyone would ever anticipate. I remember me saying this in the late 2010s, 2020, when people were talking about robotaxi then. I was like, I don't know if you understand how difficult the regulatory hurdle is going to be for this. I don't think Elon understands. I don't think anybody does. And we're finally at that point, at least, to where it is just the regulatory hurdle, but I just don't have a lot of visibility. So I want to see something. I want to see something concrete about being able to push through that regulatory hurdle in at least one state, one city.
Well, I mean, I think that will happen in Texas first, and I think that Austin is that's the reason they live there and they started there, and I think that'll happen, but I can't give you a timeline any better than Elon can. Elon will say it's going to happen this week, which means multiply that times 2, carry the 1. Yeah, 5 years.
The opportunity cost of capital right now is way too high to have it sitting in any company, in my opinion, where you don't have short-term visibility. So I would rather wait. And if I miss something, I've always said this, and I have to get in Tesla $100 higher, that's the price I'll pay. I can definitely live with that because I think the long-term thesis on Tesla, if and when we get real driverless robotaxi, and more importantly, the age of robots in the 2030s, Tesla can be, 10 to 20 times as large as it is today.
Yeah.
So
okay, one more. We heard this morning that Trump has an Oval Office announcement to make today, and so Skilla Arena wants to know, or is going all in on Nvidia puts because speculation that Trump will talk about chip tariffs during the Oval Office ramp, and also Lulu will tank. Dupes will hurt it this quarter. Thoughts
Lulu
on
hater.
the president speaking today?
I think dupes have started to really have a meaningful impact, but we've been talking about dupes for years on Lulu.
Yeah, that's the known quantity. I mean, that's why they're tanking. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
If dupes weren't having any impact, it wouldn't be down 65%, trading at 13 PE. So the question is, once you get the dupes out of the way, there is a market that they're not buying. They're just not going to buy the dupes, right? So and then you rebuild as a company. okay, on Nvidia, I'm nervous too, guys. This whole tariff thing with chips, I'm very nervous for Nvidia. I might consider. Oh shoot, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. And now you have me nervous. I didn't think he was speaking today. I thought this was going to happen next week. I thought this was a next week problem. I thought I could let my options kind of float through the end of the week and deal with this over the weekend. Now
all that I saw officially is that it is an announcement. We don't know if it's tariffs. It could be a new Fed member. That's floated by someone else in the chat. But yeah, it's one of those after market hour announcements that is very rare for a president to do an Oval Office announcement.
Oh boy.
Well, and I don't think he's trumped it yet. I don't think he's truthed it yet.
But don't you think that Trump, if he's pre-announcing an announcement, that means he wants a lot of people to watch? Doesn't that mean it's a positive thing? It's a thing that he could brag about. So maybe it's
so. He's not gonna pre-announce a. But he thinks everything he does is positive, though. So he had a big Rose Garden ceremony to present a sign about reciprocal tariffs that were not reciprocal at all. It was based on a trade imbalance.
Wait, did you see? Is this real? Did he concrete over the Rose Garden?
No, that's a mock-up, but it is something that they've announced wanting to do, concreting over the Rose Garden and building a convention center attached to the White House so that they could have a large state dinner.
YOLO.
We'll see. You know.
Oh man. All right.
You can put a bowling alley in the. You're allowed to make changes to the White House when you occupy it.
I know, but
he put 2 flagpoles up. I think I saw him on the roof, like scouting out where he might be able to build some more buildings.
The Rose Gardens are so not Gen Z, Chris. He's the man of the people.
Oh, wait, what is this? I just got an alert on X. OpenAI is giving ChatGPT to the government for $1 per CNBC. Is this real?
What is this?
This is real. Is that the announcement? Oh, my God. By the way, say what you want about Sam Altman. The guy's maniacal, okay? He's going to work every angle. You know that, right? Like, he's like, what do I need from Trump and this administration? What can I do? I'm just going to give this to the U.S. government for $1. He's not giving anything. If he's giving that for $1, he's getting something big.
Yeah. For sure. No, I'm seeing it too. It's confirmed. Axios. $1.
Dude, what is going on? Oh man.
Now is that $1 per query, or just like we're just giving you unlimited access for $1?
I'm sure it's unlimited access for $1. He just wants the government. This dude.
So that's OpenAI offering its ChatGPT enterprise products to U.S. federal agencies for $1. Anthropic plans to offer its products to the federal government for as little as $1 per CNBC. So there's a bidding war to see who gets the government to use them for free, basically.
Okay.
And
right.
I mean, if you are a revenue generating company at some point, you can now take that as a write-off because you're now giving a huge amount of services to the government for free.
So what a great way to close this out. You know who's making money on all that government ChatGPT usage? Microsoft.
Azure and Microsoft.
They still have to pay for the compute. There you go.
Pay for the compute. It's a markup game, and I haven't heard Microsoft giving away anything free to the government.
Microsoft doesn't give away anything for free.
No.
Hell no.
Or seat licenses. That's what Microsoft likes.
And we learned from Doge that the per seat licenses were just completely going unused. They'd buy giant bundles of licenses and never use them. So Microsoft, that's the game plan for Microsoft. As much as I dislike them as a product or a company, I think that they've got something going on when it comes to billing the government. Yeah. Also, this one made me laugh. I flashed it on the screen earlier, but I just wanted to share this publicly. Bro, come on. Teams is leagues better than WebEx. when we were on a rant about how I would rather be on anything than a Teams meeting.
Oh, the WebEx.
WebEx?
I mean, that's a pretty low bar. Come on.
Is that still around?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so. I don't know. I have no idea.
There's no way that WebEx is still a thing. There's just no way. No way.
Remember Google Meet? That's no longer around.
It's still around, right? Is it still
WebEx
around?
is
Can you
still
still
a
do a Google
product.
Meet? I think you can.
I think Google Meet turned into it's a smaller part of something else.
Okay.
Dude, Matthew McConaughey is doing a WebEx 1.
There we go.
McConaughey. Oh, man. All right. It's time to close this out.
We are closing it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is early still. I'm going on my beach walk. I don't know what you guys are doing, but thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Okay, we're still on the air, but I can't figure out how to make us go off.
Dave, this Mexico, Dave.
This is what
nothing
we
works
do.
in
Okay,
Mexico.
we're gone.